Hello everybody and welcome to Crazy Horse Gaming, the gaming website done by gamers for gamers. And today we are starting off a brand new feature, which is a look back section. In this section it'll either be myself or Liam who will be looking back on old games, and this week we are going to be, or I'm going to be doing Double Dragon. Now Double Dragon was a beat 'em up, side scrolling beat 'em up, as you can see here, which was released in 1987. It was developed by Technos Japan and distributed by Tachio Corporation in Europe and North America. Now this game I remember years back playing. Really old game, really fun game, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of my first childhood memories of playing video games. This is a spiritual successor to Technos' earlier beat 'em up called, let's see if I get this right, Neketsu Kowa Kunio-kun, I think it was, or known as Renegade outside of Japan. Like I said, Double Dragon was considered at the time to be one of the biggest and best side-scrolling beat-em-ups around. It was fairly advanced for its time, if I remember correctly. Had some fairly new and interesting features for its time. As you can see, there were weapons you could take off the enemies and pick up off the floors. There were throws, multiple different attacks. You had several sets. The enemies could also pick up weapons, could throw you, and the skill sets on them were quite different. Although, like I said, you could have throws, you could grab them. There were also certain types of enemies, as you can see here, where I'm getting the crap beat at me by this big dude, who would combat certain moves of yours. So you had to figure out which moves were quite accurate for which enemy, sort of thing, as different enemies would be able to react to other moves better than others. The game also featured a two-player co-op mode, which was basically you and a friend ploughing through the game together, trying to beat it. It was quite a hard game, not just because I suck at it now, but even back then it was still quite challenging. It was one of the more, with it being based obviously initially on an arcade console, the whole point of it was to rob you of your money. So you'd keep putting money in, keep putting money in to eventually actually finish the game. Yeah, pretty much like I said, this was released in 1987 in the arcades, and it has appeared since then on pretty much nearly every format. It hit the home computers first. When I say home computers, I'm talking about the Commodore 64s, the Spectrum Sinclairs, the Amstrad, CPC, which was what I played it on back in the days, old cassette-based computers. Well, I'm sounding old now. And it's had a really successful span over 27 years. Yeah. The music in it was, I always thought the music was great in this, and I was always getting my ass kicked by these big dudes here. I never could combat them, and I still can't now. As I said before, it was on pretty much every format. However, the only format I have it on now is the Xbox. So what you're seeing now is currently the Xbox Live Arcade version of it. Although the actual graphics themselves I have put back to the classic, so this is pretty similar to what you would have seen back in the days. Right, basically the game itself, you can see, it was a fairly unforgiving, quite challenging game. The story of it was you played as either, let me see if I can get this, Billy or what was the other guy's name? Jimmy or Billy or Jimmy, that was it. Or if you played it on the Nintendo, the original Nintendo, it was Billy and Bimmy. There was kind of a spelling mistake at the beginning, which rather than putting Jimmy in, it was Bimmy. And the whole point of the game was you were to rescue the love interest, Miriam, who happened to be a love interest of both of them, which I thought was a bit weird, a bit creepy. They were both in love with the same woman, and she gets kidnapped by these thugs. They were called the Black Warrior Gang, I believe. And you basically go for all these different types of levels here, fighting these armed thugs, taking the weapons off them, beating them over the heads with big sticks, dynamite, rocks, barrels, clubs, anything you can find, until you get all the way to the last level, where you fight a gun-toting maniac carrying a machine gun. Yeah, you beat him, and then obviously if you play on your own, you beat him, you win the game. you win the woman. Job done, easy peasy. However, there was a slight twist if you played it in co-op. If you got all the way to the end, you beat everyone, got to the end, beat the guy, the mad machine gun toting maniac, you were forced to fight each other. So the game would pit you against your partner, and you would have to beat each other to see who won Miriam's heart. Apparently that's the way of, obviously, winning the heart of any woman is beating the crap out of your twin brother. And she'll love you forever, apparently. Yes, this game was so successful that it even had a movie spin-off. Or not a spin-off as such, but it had a, well yeah, spin-off you could call it, Double Dragon the movie. Which, I'm going to be honest, yeah, was a god-awful movie. I mean, it was terrible, cheap-looking, nasty, the story was bizarre, and, to be honest, quite a scary movie.
Afraid of a little aftershock? Don't be. They're a prophecy.
But it was a movie nonetheless. You know, it was big enough to get a movie, which was one of the, I suppose, one of the earliest games, along with Mario, to actually get movies made after them, I guess. See, what was I going to say about it? There were several other spin-off games. I suppose, I imagine a lot of you have heard of the Double Dragon and Battletoads video game, which is a notoriously hard game on the, I'm going to say, it's either the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo. I'm not too quite sure about that. But yeah. So, like I was saying, a 1987 game, side-scrolling beat-em-up, fairly advanced for its time. Graphics-wise, colour-wise, you can see they've gone all out with the colours. Really went to out. This gives you a range of different levels and variety of backgrounds to play through. I mean, later on in the levels you come across some creepy looking mansions with blocks which knock you off the edges, spikes which fly out of statues. One of the constant bugs, which was always an annoyance to me back when I played it first time round as well, was a lot of the levels you could walk on to the bottom of the floor and actually fall off, having to obviously die and come back, which was a real pain in the ass, especially if you weren't quite sure whether the bottom of the floor was somewhere you could fall off or whether it was a stable floor. The levels tend to change, that you were never quite sure. But still, this is one of the fondest memories I have of a video game, one of the earliest memories. In my opinion, this is a true classic game, although they did do a remake of it, I believe, either last year or the year before, which they tried to go to stick with a 2D side scroller, but add a bit more vibrant colours, and make the characters new and up and coming and vibrant, and it didn't look very good, to be honest. The game itself didn't get great reviews, it got trashed, and just didn't live up to its predecessor, this one. But this still reigns as one of the classic games of all times, and one of the games like this that kind of led to the build-up of the beat-em-ups you get now. So things like this went on, influenced things like Streets of Rage, which influenced other games, and so on and so forth. And these are pretty much the grandfather of all probably the beat-em-ups that you play these days. Yeah. That's about all I can say about the game, really. Give you a couple of minutes of gameplay on this, and this was the look back for Double Dragon. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will hope to catch you in our next look back videos. Like I said, me and Liam will be doing regular look back videos. We plan to do some great stuff on there, some hopefully more obscure games that you've never heard of, and some games which hopefully brings back memories of your childhood video gaming classics, and games that you hope to, or have never heard of, but hope to play soon. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next episode. See you all later. Bye.
Over the centuries, many lives have been spent searching for the legendary Double Dragon. Now, it's mine.